High in the central mountains of Thailand lies a verdant forest, filled with inquisitive monkeys, where a battle-scarred leader lords over his unruly troop. From here, water flows east towards the mighty Mekong River. A network of tributaries cuts across the land as the water descends into a saucer-shaped basin, a fertile plain blanketed with paddy fields and wetlands bursting with life, where some of nature's finest engineers build remarkable homes high above the waterways, while others have adapted to a cultivated land. Between the open plains and the Mekong River lies the eastern forest, where an endangered family of primates adapts to a new life in the wild. This is a journey across the vast central river basin of Thailand. Halfway through the Mekong's journey, the river crosses a vast, fertile plateau. This area of raised elevation in the heart of the Mekong Basin tilts down from west to east towards the river, draining the whole of eastern Thailand. A number of major tributaries flow from the mountains in central Thailand, through jungles and across the lowland plains before joining the Mekong as it runs along Thailand's eastern border. Khao Yai in south-central Thailand sits high on the plateau at an elevation of 1,200 meters above sea level. High rainfall, even in the dry season, gives rise to lush evergreen trees. Primary or old-growth forest covers 80% of Khao Yai National Park. Most of these trees haven't been disturbed by humans, creating an ancient environment that has remained the same for hundreds of years. Dotted amongst the forest, and hanging from the branches, is a large troop of one of Southeast Asia's most prolific primates. This group of northern pig-tailed macaques is made up of almost 40 individuals. Macaques are highly intelligent creatures with a larger brain than most primates. Keeping such an inquisitive group in check requires some serious leadership skills. The alpha male. At 18 years old and weighing 15 kilograms, he is a formidable sight. Securing and maintaining his position as the dominant male wouldn't have been easy, and he has the scars that tell the tale. His troop is made up of females, their infants, and subordinate males. He's responsible for leading them to food, protecting them, and keeping calm within the group. No easy task when you've got up to 20 juveniles all living together. It requires discipline at all levels. He would have started life much like any of his own youngsters, but it takes a certain level of strength, initiative, and social skills to make it to the top. His troop for now is content as he's led them to a patch of forest perfect for feeding. To find food, this troop will range over an area of 6 to 8 square kilometers per day, staying within the boundaries of Khao Yai National Park. The park is on the western fringe of the Mekong Basin and covers an area of 2,200 square kilometers. Tributaries here flow 500 kilometers from the forested mountains to join the Mekong as it continues south towards Cambodia. Northern pig-tailed macaques are one of the few primates to spend most of their lives on the forest floor. It's thought that as a result, they've lost the long prehensile tail that helps with balance and mobility in the trees. In its place, pig-like tails. Living so close to the ground, a long tail for balancing or swinging has no evolutionary advantage. It may even get in the way. For these ground dwellers, a lone network of branches provides a fun arboreal jungle gym. When there's little risk of injury, it doesn't matter what you hold on to, an arm or leg seems to be just as handy as a branch. As they scavenge, their agile hands make light work of the leaf litter that's hiding the fruits, leaves, buds and insects that make up their usual forest diet. One of the alpha's young is already showing traits of a possible future leader. This resourceful youngster has been busy. His cheek pouches are crammed full of food. He can chew them at his leisure, one tasty morsel at a time. He journeys deeper into the forest, away from prying eyes. This is a world he instinctively navigates. He's found some nutritious flowers. But he might not have them to himself for long. The alpha male has his eye on him. The alpha clearly has the strength to control this large group, but leadership requires a far less obvious quality. Well-developed social skills. For pig-tailed macaques, coalitions are key to success within the troop. Each troop contains a number of subordinate males. The alpha must maintain strong social bonds with them to protect his position. Understanding who's boss is a lesson they learn almost as soon as they can walk. These boisterous play fights are an excellent way to determine social hierarchy. They can take rough and tumble to a whole new level. Jumping high off these bouncy branches is both safe and a great way to launch an ambush. One day they may be ambushing for real. No group of this size, around 40 individuals, could function without rules. And it's not just the alpha that ensures the rules are being followed. This 4-month-old infant has been up to mischief. An older female dishes out the punishment. Females who can wield power over wily youngsters are sure to impress the alpha. But nobody in the troop has more authority than he does. The severe scar across his mouth is likely evidence of a hard-won victory against a rival, though few dare cross this established leader. commotion overhead spreads a nervous excitement across the troop. A squabble has broken out up in the trees. The alpha is not impressed. It's a chance for him to assert his authority. As tension mounts, this excited bystander shows his obvious anxiety. The alpha warns the unruly monkeys that he's ready to intervene. Nobody wants to take their chances, and calm is quickly restored. Like any successful dominant male, this leader commonly rules by intimidation, and it serves him well. The benefits of his position are obvious to see. His genes are getting passed down all around him. He's earned his place at the top of this troop, and until there's a serious contender for the position, that's where he'll stay. The highest peaks in Khao Yai reach an impressive 1,500 meters. When it rains, water collects on the mountain slopes, then flows down through a series of waterfalls and creeks, cutting through the forested plateau as it slopes east. As the elevation drops, streams converge into tributaries, which course towards the mighty river, draining this part of the Mekong Basin. Although the Mekong only borders one side of this huge country, this expansive network of waterways means its impact is felt throughout the land. Having left the mountains, the tributaries then cross a saucer-shaped plateau that tilts east towards the main river. As the water descends to 200 meters above sea level, it reaches the lowland plains that lie between Khao Yai and Thailand's eastern border. The land here is sandy and would be far too dry for farming as it suffers droughts in the dry season. But the network of waterways flowing through makes these plains hospitable for both animals and humans alike. Drawing from the Mekong's tributaries, the farmers can irrigate their fields year-round. Rice has been cultivated here for thousands of years. This staple crop relies on swamp-like conditions created by a man-made cycle of flooding and draining. The marshy habitat is a magnet for insect life, and where there are insects, it's a guarantee birds will follow. These wading black-winged stilts are a familiar sight. Perfectly designed to navigate these waterlogged soils, their thin beaks pick out the insects in quick succession. While their long, elegant legs allow them to exploit the deeper waters. Swallows skim the surface to pick up a snack on the wing. In fields where cattle are kept, there are other opportunities for the most enterprising of species. This great myna, with its iconic crest of head feathers, has claimed this cow as both his personal transport and local food counter. The cow's skin is covered with ticks and other insects, and is worth the effort of securing a good position. This myna might be overstepping the boundaries a little here, but both animals ultimately benefit as the cow can enjoy a healthier life. Many species have adapted to the changing face of these lowland plains, with most real estate devoted to agriculture. Some have even thrived. The cattle egret. This bird is native to the region and has adapted to shadowing livestock on the ground. As the cow grazes, it throws up insects. All the egret needs to do is step in and snap them up. While already a common bird throughout Asia, the cattle egret owes its dramatic expansion to humans. As people spread their cattle farming activities, the egrets went with them. This intelligent opportunist expends little energy as it follows around its personal assistant. All it needs is a bit of patience, and dinner is served. Some fields are left fallow, allowing them to regenerate for a season. These play host to a range of birds from around the region. The grey and black open-bill stork stands out against the marshy background. With its powerful sharp beak, it feasts on golden apple snails. These mollusks are a pest for farmers who welcome the storks that flock to the region whenever there is a snail infestation. The hive of activity feeding on the plains attracts one of Thailand's aerial predators, a black kite. But the birds below can breathe easy for now. The kite is more concerned with a potential rival in his territory than with catching his next meal. Nonetheless, in this elaborate web of predator and prey, constant vigilance is the key to a long life. Piles of sand are a common sight next to the agricultural land in the Mekong Basin. They are left by farmers from tilling the land. And an ever-resourceful green bee-eater won't let them go to waste. Despite the midday heat, she's hard at work, digging out a burrow for her nest. Bee-eaters have a complex social structure where multiple relatives will help one couple raise its babies. When food supplies are low, a relative's baby is sometimes their best chance to carry on their genes. This help with child rearing is known as allo-parenting. The extra help is welcome, but it means a female has the challenge of building a nest that not only fits her own offspring, but also would-be babysitters. With that many family members under one roof, this female has her work cut out for her. Bee-eaters are productive diggers, using their sharp bills to pick at the sand. It's tiring work, as the sand is hardened in the heat, but this dedicated female is making headway. Her male partner has come to help. It's an ambitious project, and the monogamous couple have been working together to get it finished before they lay their eggs. The male supervises, but he seems to be just getting in the way. Only one burrow will hold the brood, but the other holes might come in handy for the helpers. But this couple will need to be careful. Relatives who are coming to stay may be more than helpful visitors. It's not uncommon for them to try to sneak their own eggs into the couple's nest. In the weeks ahead, the male must be extra vigilant, as it won't be long before one of these burrows is housing his eggs. As the Mekong's tributaries twist and turn through the paddy fields, they pass by some of the most spectacular creations in the bird world. Like baubles hanging from a tree, these nests belong to the winged engineers of the Mekong, bioweavers. It's the male bioweavers that are responsible for nest building. Only the most experienced males can master the challenge of creating these nests up high. Competition for space up here is fierce, so for most of them, training starts much lower down. Hidden within these thick reeds, a young male with his shock of yellow plumage is getting some practice in. These riverside reeds may not look the sturdiest of structures, but are a vital training ground. Male birds mate with a number of females, and each will require their own nest. This diligent novice has several on the go. The reeds here are tough and pliable, so perfect to practice with. But nearer the ground, they're more at risk from predators such as wild cats or nest takeovers by rodents. He builds what resembles a helmet, complete with chin strap. It is this first crucial stage that female weavers will come and inspect as a potential home. The young male practices the intricate loops and knots. He must eventually master 18 different types to create his trademark weave. He stops only to assess his creations and what still needs work. After months of practice, a glimmer of hope. A rare female visitor checks out his handiwork. But a quick poke around soon tells her it lacks the wow factor. For now, this young novice must keep finessing his skills. But in the coming months, he will leave this boot camp and head further upstream, where the real estate has a little more to offer a prospective female. He will likely make his way here. Hanging higher over the water, these trees afford a greater vantage point and protection against predators like snakes. But it's an advantage that comes only with experience and the ability to secure a spot from the competition. These older males are showcasing their intricate weaving skills, creating more secure structures for housing chicks. And it's not just size that matters. Each large tear-shaped nest has a single strong tether attached to a branch, a design challenge that only the more advanced weavers can pull off, as it must support the weight of a family. Get this wrong, and the results in high winds could be disastrous. Yet this location hosts comparatively few finished nests. A sign the location still poses palpable predation risks. For the most discerning of females, their nests must be out of reach. And for this, the males must seriously up their game in more ways than one. Overhanging the waterway, this sugar palm contains a bioweaver housing complex where only the most seasoned professionals have the skills to build their nests. Everything about this location has pushed their architectural prowess to the limit. The male weavers here have tethered their nests so securely that they can't be blown off even in the strongest of winds. It may look like a fairground ride, but these intricate cylindrical shapes and narrow entrances keep occupants cradled snug and safe. These completed nests take 2 to 3 weeks to construct, complete with a floor and funnel at the entrance. The payoff for being able to live up here is huge. These are nature's Fort Knox. Very few predators dare scale such skyscraping heights. Which is why females flock here, and every nest in this palm tree is occupied by a mating pair. What may look death-defying to us is one of the safest places for these weaver chicks to grow up. The most spectacular nests in a prime location can be a source of serious envy and provoke other females to launch violent takeovers. This female is the lucky owner of an impressive nest and is now helping complete her new home. She will take over most of the work incubating the eggs and raising the chicks, so she wants to be as secure as possible. She intertwines reeds to fill in any gaps. Watching her nearby is a scaly-breasted munya who casts a covetous eye over the construction. Unaware, the female weaver heads out for extra supplies. And the munya makes its move. Munyas are known to occupy abandoned nests. The unaware female weaver forages in the nearby branches looking for food and nesting materials. And the munya quickly calls out for her partner to join her. The sneaky pair's tactics are to claim the nest without expending any resources of their own, other than a few small adjustments. The weaver suddenly spots the intruders and is quick to stake her claim. So near to laying her eggs, she has a lot to lose. Her larger size may scare the male, but the female munya is harder to shake off. Neither bird wants to give up the nest without a fight. The female weaver staves off the intruders, but must now work quickly to finish her nest before others take their chances. She only has a few days before she'll start laying eggs. Some of her neighbors are farther along. This sleepy little chick is a week old and couldn't be safer tucked away in this cocoon. The father takes time out of his busy schedule to help with feeding duties. His time is limited as he's busy building more nests for other potential mates. Many aim to build a second and even third nest after the female has laid her eggs. One day the young chicks in this nest will start their own journey, eventually growing into one of the most remarkable architects in the bird kingdom. Leaving the rice fields, the Mekong tributaries continue to meander east through the plains and down the sloping plateau. Before joining the main river, they cut through the final patches of forests along Thailand's eastern border. These vast lowland jungles on the Thailand-Cambodia border are protected against logging and are a designated wildlife sanctuary. These forests shelter endangered pileated gibbons. A black male, followed by a blonde female. And bringing up the rear, their baby. The gibbon family may look like any normal set of parents with an active infant, but there is something very special about them. In fact, this sprightly 8-week-old is almost unique. Though she was born in the wild, her parents were raised in captivity in a primate rehabilitation project where they became mates. The pair bonded so well in captivity that after they were released into the wild, they had their own offspring. One of the first wild pileated gibbon babies on Earth to be born to rehabilitated parents. Pileated gibbons are found only to the west of the Mekong. Their numbers have decreased by 50% in the last 50 years due to major forest loss and hunting by poachers. There are only 47,000 left in the wild, 13,000 of these in Thailand. The parents' captive history means they display some unusual behaviors not typically seen in the wild. Unlike many gibbon males, this doting dad rarely strays far from his mate and infant. Though still very young, the infant is clearly at home in a 12-meter canopy as she explores every inch of her world. It's encouraging that her parents are letting her be a normal wild baby. Though coming from captivity, they have had much more adjusting to do. Like any new human mother, the adult female cannot take her eyes off her unstoppable offspring. She tends to keep her baby within tight boundaries. Though the infant is clearly more than ready to push them. But Mum is careful to always stay within the long arm's reach. While so little, her baby doesn't want to stray too far either. The male has had a lot on his plate since moving to the wild. He's had to mark out the family's new territory and find the best spots to forage. Once he's discovered where the most fruitful highways are, he creates memory maps of the treetops. Knowing where to find fruit is critical, as it makes up the majority of the gibbon diet. But to a once captive male, swinging around the vast canopy must also seem a lot of fun. Like father, like daughter. While Dad explores for fruit trees, Mum feeds on the abundant leaves closer to home. Her baby tries her hand at doing the same, but hasn't quite got the grip of it yet. The infant is 8 weeks old and will suckle until she's at least 1 to 2 years, but will start eating solid food around 4 to 5 months. Being out in the forests means exposure to a whole host of new ticks and parasites. The female gives her youngster a quick inspection. Her infant immediately mimics her grooming. Imitation is the key way for her to learn. At just 2 months old, this precious infant will rarely be let out from under her mum's watchful gaze. Gibbons invest a huge amount of time in their young and typically give birth a couple of years apart. something startles her. Her baby is quick to react and clings tightly to her mother. The nervous female instinctively stays still. She's been back in the wild for 2 years, but still isn't yet used to the sounds of the jungle. It seems the coast is clear, and she decides to find her mate. Gibbons are highly vocal creatures, producing sounds that range from deafening hoots to very soft calls below human detection. She calls out and listens for his response. Canopy communication. Reunited, they settle in for some quality time together. Though their peace is short-lived. The baby wants attention. And the playful male is soon chasing after his wayward daughter. The energy levels of this young family are high, and soon the whole family engages in an all-out play fight. The perfect way to not only interact, but strengthen their muscles and flexibility. Wearing out their baby has paid off. It's nap time. And the parents pick up where they left off. It's clear there's an incredibly strong bond between this special pair, which is what the success of conservation projects depend upon. Previous mated pairs have separated when released into the wild, so this is a rare success story. The doting father grooms his infant. He holds her flimsy hand with his foot. These tender moments are a sign of just how tight-knit this rare family is. If they continue to engage in such high levels of family grooming and play, there's no reason why they shouldn't remain so for years to come. Theirs is a remarkable success story. Though life in the wild won't be without its perils, up in the canopy, gibbons have a good chance of staying out of harm's way. Those living on the forest floor, however, have a much harder time avoiding predation, especially with creatures like this on the prowl, the formidable Asian forest scorpion. With powerful pincers that are as long as its body, this forest dweller is a fearsome sight to behold. Growing up to 13 centimeters long, it's armed with 2 highly effective weapons. The first is the most well-known. The tip of its tail is packed full of a toxic venom that can cause excruciating pain and swelling even in large mammals. The second is its pair of enormous vice-like pincers. Menacing, they're usually the first line of defense and have the power to inflict a serious flesh wound. Some of the most dangerous creatures down here are near impossible to spot. The pit viper is one of the deadliest. Camouflaged against the dry, leafy floor, the only sign of life is a tiny raising of its patterned body as it slowly breathes. Its markings disappear against the backdrop of the forest. Despite its stillness, it's on high alert. It uses its tongue to pick up scent particles in the air. The viper follows the track. It's the smell of a potential meal. With minimal vision, the pit viper locates its prey using an infrared heat-sensing organ that detects warm-blooded animals. Snakes have over 10,000 muscles in their body, giving them an extraordinary ability to remain perfectly poised. It will remain like this until ready to attack. Snakes can also climb trees. But thanks to evolution, primates living in the forests here are hardwired to not only identify them, but also to universally fear them. Whether a ground-dwelling macaque or an arboreal gibbon, the snake's distinct shape instantly alerts primates to danger. This ancient survival reflex could also be why so many humans still have an inherent fear of these stunning creatures. High in the canopy of the eastern forests, primates have been trying to avoid snakes for as long as these trees have been in existence. The rehabilitated family shares the trees with wild pileated gibbons. In the searing heat of the dry season, there are few things more satisfying than a long branch and a patch of cool shade. This mature wild female gibbon is having a well-earned rest. Gibbons are known as lesser apes due to their smaller body size. Unlike all other apes, gibbons can sleep balanced on a single narrow branch. Her enormous arms not only have highly flexible shoulder joints, but are longer than her legs, providing the perfect tether. But something breaks her peace. And her mate has also been roused. Tearing towards them is their daughter. Like any anarchic youngster, she's looking for some fun. At 2 years old, she's fully weaned and more independent, so her parents are ready to expand their brood. She has a lot of energy to burn. She's plenty capable of looking after herself in the canopy, but it will be another few years before she leaves the family unit with a mate of her own. With her increasing independence, she's the perfect age for her parents to conceive a sibling, as they now have the time to invest in another offspring. She's distracted by something on her mother's hand, and it tastes good. As seasoned canopy dwellers, these apes know all of the secret feeding spots. The adult female shimmies down to a hollow in the tree, the source of the tasty sap on her fingers. Her long curved fingers make the perfect tool for scooping it out as she sucks it up from her fur. Sap contains simple sugars and a high water content, making it a favorite of many primate species. After taking her fill, she moves out of the way to let her watchful daughter have a go. She's quick to copy, mimicking her mother's moves. Mum definitely knows best. The sugary liquid is irresistible. On a sugar high, she swings from branch to branch, exploring her family's territory. Her parents remain relaxed even though she's out of sight. Unlike the recently released couple who keep a tight watch on their youngster. Finally, some alone time. Dad takes the initiative and signals for his mate to follow him. While their firstborn is preoccupied, they can finally get on with trying to grow their family. In the coming year, they may be getting another baby and gearing up for the trials of parenting once again. From the forests to the west, high in the mountains of Khao Yai, to the lowland jungles that fringe the Mekong River, all animals face the same basic challenges in life. Take care of your family, provide a stable home, and plan for the future. The imposing alpha male will defend his title for as long as he's able. Inexperienced weaver birds will work hard to master their skills, and the young gibbon family will continue to get to grips with their new world in the wilds of Thailand's river basin. It's here that the tributaries finally join the mighty Mekong River, and its breathtaking journey continues across the border into Cambodia.